Good evening, children. Welcome back to your biology classes. I hope you had a refreshing break. Today, we will start with our new topic, and before that, I'll make a list of the chapters that we are going to cover in first term. There are a total of 8 lessons, and the colored portion tells the ones that I have already completed with you before the vacation time. Today, we are going to start with our fourth topic, microbes in human welfare. What chapters we have already done are reproduction in organisms, sexual reproduction in flowering plants, and reproductive health. So let us start with our fourth topic in the term microbes in human welfare. In the meantime, children, I'll just confirm about those children who have already completed their projects. Please start submitting the same at the earliest, and the others also speed up with your projects, because now we will start with our practical assignments almost twice a week that we'll be working with, right? So get ready with your punch papers and the practical lab manual. Our new lesson, microbes in human welfare, this deals with various microbes and their importance that is going to be discussed more than their harmful effects. So what are microbes? Microbes are microscopic organisms that can be seen only under the microscope. So that means they are so small that we cannot see them with our naked eyes. They exist everywhere. The list of these, they include various bacteria, protozoa, fungi, viruses, viroids, and prions. Now, these microbes, as we know, they are present at even those places where no life exists. For example, several meters deep into the snow, inside thermal vents or geysers, and sometimes temperatures as high as 100 degrees also they are known to survive, sometimes deep into the soil, mountain tops, etc. Microbes belong to various groups, as I just now told you, that from bacteria to prions to viruses and so many others. Microbes like bacteria and fungi can be grown on various nutritive media. I'll just show you some pictures as mentioned in your textbooks. Look at these. These are various bacterial views that are seen here. In A, the slide shows bacillus or the rod-shaped. B, spherical or the coccus. C is a flagellated bacterial picture here. That is, flagellated means they have flagella. Here we have viruses. A is a bacteriophage. B is a common cold virus. And C is tobacco mosaic virus. Now here we'll also like to just tell you, children, that as I told you that microbes like bacteria and fungi can be grown into a nutritive media and be observed, right? And when we talk about the importance or diseases that they cause, you will be surprised to know that they are more useful than what they are harmful. Yes, they cause a number of diseases. What diseases? A number of diseases, from let's say common cold to plague, or let's say influenza, hepatitis and others. But at the same time, they're also known to be very, very useful. So in this chapter, as the heading itself tells, children, it is microbes in human welfare. We will be concentrating on their uses. They cause various uses under the head. In your syllabus, there are 6 headings to be covered. Number 1, microbes in household products. This includes curd, yogurt, cheese, sausages, SCP, that means single cell protein, toddy, etc. We'll talk in detail about every substance that we have named over here. Second will be microbes in industrial production. We'll talk of alcoholic beverages, antibiotics, enzymes, etc. Third, microbes in sewage treatment. Fourth, microbes in energy production or biogas. Next, microbes as biocontrol agents, bioherbicides or bioinsecticides. And the last would be fertilizers. So when we complete all 6 of them, our chapter will end up. So let us start today. This is a very interesting lesson, children, and because it deals with most of the things that we have in our practical utility, it will be definitely very useful for our practical knowledge also. So let us start with our first thing, microbes in household products. Under this, we'll talk about first curd. Curd, that is the Indian curd we know, children. It is prepared by inoculating milk. Suppose this is milk and this is inoculated with a lactic acid bacteria. In short, we call it as LAB. And to make curd, milk is warmed slightly to a temperature of around 40 degrees or less and then mixed with the inoculum, that is the starter. This contains, even a very little of this amount will contain millions of the bacteria that would be used here. This bacteria, it produces an enzyme called lactase, which converts the milk sugar or lactose into lactic acid. The very lactic acid, it coagulates the milk protein that we call as casein and forms curd, right? This curd is known to be more nutritious than milk because it has vitamin B12 and many other vitamins along with organic acids. Once again, as we complete curd, please revise it once again because now we'll compare with yogurt. Once again, how I told you, milk at 40 degrees is inoculated with a little of this starter called as inoculum or lactobacillus, lactic acid bacteria. The specific name is Lactobacillus acidophilus, right? The very bacteria, it is going to produce the enzyme lactase, and this enzyme will convert milk sugar or lactose into lactic acid. In the next step, lactic acid will change the milk protein or casein into curd. And this is very, very useful, more useful than what milk can be. Why? Because this has extra vitamins, vitamin B12 and organic acids which are not present in milk. Alright, coming to the second part or second household product, it is yogurt, or we also call as yogurt, G-H-U-R-T or G-U-R-T, right? Now in this, what is the difference of this than the curd? First is that this is a sweetened substance or a sweetened preparation, usually flavored with fruits. Alright, so how it is done? This is prepared by curdling milk, and this is done in a special way where the milk is first heated to 80 to 90 degrees, right? And then cooled for, let's say, as long till 44 degrees. At this temperature, the milk, when it's cooled to 44 degrees, it is mixed with the inoculum, which is Streptococcus thermophilus and Lactobacillus bulgaricus. You have to learn these names, children. Like here it was Lactobacillus acidophilus, but here it is Lactobacillus bulgaricus along with Streptococcus thermophilus. So once it is inoculated, right, then this will be producing a substance what we call as acetaldehyde. This will provide a unique flavor to this preparation called as yogurt, right? As I told you, this is a sweetened preparation and this is more useful than milk because of additional vitamins produced by the bacteria. And also absence of lactose. Now many people are allergic to this lactose. So absence of this also helps the people because they have no side effects of this allergy that can be caused by lactose. So here we complete. Once again, before we move further, let us see the differences between curd and yogurt. Here the inoculum was added directly at 40 degrees, but here it is first heated to 80 to 90 degrees for half an hour, then cooled down to 44, and the starter is also different than what it is in curd. Then what another difference is that here it is sweetened, right, because of flavoring with the fruits, and because of absence of the lactose here, that is a milk sugar, this some people, as they find it allergy, they avoid this because of absence of this lactose, because lactose only is known to cause allergy in some people. Coming to the second topic now, because curd and yogurt, they were in the same point. Coming to the second topic now, that is cheese. Cheese is one of the oldest milk preparations, and that is consumed all over the world. It is prepared by curdling and ripening with the help of microbes. Alright, this is eaten all over the world, as I said, and there are several hundred varieties of cheese that are prepared, and the difference lies in the selected microorganisms. The quality and characteristics of cheese is determined by what type of microorganism is to be used. So let us see 3 types of cheese under this. First, cottage cheese. Second, Swiss cheese. And third will be Roquefort cheese. In cottage cheese, what is done is, this is prepared by curdling milk by using an inoculum called Streptococcus lactis and Lactobacillus. Once again, the curdled substance, the curdling bacteria, these are Streptococcus lactis and Lactobacillus. Now what is done is that the curd is separated from the whey, a little salt is added, and the cheese balls are prepared. So that's all about the cottage cheese. Coming to Swiss cheese. Here it is different from the previous because this cheese is large whole Swiss cheese, which is ripened with the help of carbon dioxide producing bacterium. So what is the bacterium? It is Propionibacterium shermani. Alright, and this type of cheese has a characteristic flavor and a distinct formation of large holes because of carbon dioxide evolution. Coming next to the third variety, which we call as Roquefort cheese. This is prepared by growing a special fungus called Penicillium roqueforti. The Roquefort cheese is characterized by having a typical bluish green color, or what we call as mottling, and this is prepared by the fungus. Alright, so here we complete the 3 types of cheese. Once again, the cottage cheese by the microbes Streptococcus lactis and Lactobacillus, Swiss cheese by Propionibacterium shermani, and Roquefort cheese by Penicillium roqueforti. Children, please learn these scientific names with the correct spellings, and yes, underline them when you're following the nomenclature. Coming to the third household importance of microbes, the dough that is used for making foods. For example, dosa, idli, bread that is fermented, this is used by many bacteria. These bacteria are usually present in the air. Which bacteria are these? These are Leuconostoc mesenteroids, Streptococcus faecalis, and Pediococcus cerevisiae. Right? Now what happens is, the dough that is used for making dosa etc. or idli etc. is kept to ferment for around 12 hours. 10 to 12 hours is the minimum time used for fermentation. Right? And now the bacteria that are present, what I named here, they are going to ferment the substance, as a result of which, look at the original volume and the final volume. This dough rises remarkably, and the rise is due to the puffiness is due to the production of carbon dioxide, that is a substance released in fermentation. So this again, the unique texture that we relish in our dishes, idli, dosa, bread etc. is because of this microbial activity only. Alright, then let us talk about the baker's yeast. Before we move to the next, under the third heading only, the dough for making bread is mixed with the baker's yeast that we call Saccharomyces cerevisiae, that is used in fermentation. I hope, children, you are understanding. Things have been made and explained very simply. So as a very practically important topic, and very easy and interesting too. So coming to our fourth topic, that is sausages. Sausages, how they are prepared? Again, they are prepared by microbial activity. The process is fermentation by lactic acid bacterium called Pediococcus, and the fermentation is done for beef and pork, which produces lactic acid. The same lactic acid that is formed in sausages also preserves them. Apart from providing the unique taste and flavor, this will also preserve them. The fifth point is fermented vegetables and fruits. Under this, we'll talk about vegetables like carrot, cabbage, leafy vegetables, soft bamboo shoots, and fish. These are fermented by using lactic acid bacteria and other microbes, right? This produces different textures, flavors, and along with aroma, that is the smell and taste, right? So this is usually liked all over the world, and this is because of microbial activity. This next point is a new introduction and very important from examination point of view. This is called as single cell protein, the abbreviation SCP. The importance is that this not only just provide a lot of proteinaceous part in our diet, right? At the same time, it also clears up the nature because it is used to grow on industrial and agricultural ways. So let us see what is SCP. Single cell protein is microbial biomass for consumption which is used as human food or animal feed, and this is produced by growing on agricultural and other organic ways. A very common example is spirulina. This is a food supplement. Sometimes we use it. Some of you might be using it unaware, but this is used as a tablet. And this is called as spirulina tablet. It has 60% proteins, minerals, vitamins, and unsaturated fats. So all of them, they're very good for our body and obviously various metabolic functions. So this is single cell protein. Sometimes yeast and mushrooms are nowadays also being raised as single cell protein because of their added importance of nutrients present in them. They're very important for our health, right? Then, as I said, they are important to nature and the pollution activities also, because not only they are low cost organic matter, the substance used to grow them would be low cost organic matter, sawdust, and paddy husk. So in a way, they reduce environmental pollution also by using the industrial and agricultural waste. Coming next to the seventh point is toddy. Toddy, yes, we have heard it as a traditional South Indian drink, right? It is made by fermenting sap or latex from palms. We all know what is sap, children. It's a mixture of water and minerals present in the vacuoles of plant cell. So this liquid, also called as latex from the plant, is made to undergo fermentation for a few hours, right? So this fermentation, if carried for few hours, will form alcohol to around 6%, and this beverage or preparation is called toddy. But if the same fermentation is done for around 24 hours, then this becomes unpalatable. That means not at all liked by taste, and then this will be used to produce vinegar, also called as acetic acid, right? Then another method would be that we can heat it also. Third method would be that if we can heat this liquid, we get jaggery or palm sugar, right? So there are three methods. On being heated, there's a totally different aspect. We get jaggery, but fermentation, if for less time, around few hours, yes, toddy is formed. But if it is for around 24 hours, then this is unpalatable and forms acetic acid or vinegar. The last into the foods, we have other foods. Under this, we'll talk of some Chinese preparation, Japanese and Indonesian preparations. There is a substance that is called as soya bean, and the fermentation of the same produces sufu, which is a Chinese preparation, tofu, which is Japanese, and tempeh. This is an Indonesian term. They are produced from soya bean. Also, children, we use soya sauce in our Chinese dishes, etc. So this is obtained by fermentation of soya bean and wheat. The sauce is brown, flavored, and a salty sauce. So this we complete as our first point of microbes in household products. I told you, children, there are 6 headings in all, and we have to discuss one by one everything in detail. At the same time, you have to please write down everything clearly. So under this household products, we have completed curd, yogurt, cheese, sausages, SCP, toddy, etc. So this, as I am sending you the pages, children, make sure, be regular today only, sit and kindly write down all of these pages. I'll be sending you a total of 6 pages under the notes, and you need to write them today itself, because tomorrow's task will be another task. Alright, every day we'll hold our classes, so please don't pile up your works, you have really no time to. So this is the 3rd page I have completed. Moving on to our second heading, microbes in industrial production. This was totally household, children. We talked of cheese, we talked of jaggery and all this, that is over. Coming to the industrial production, what all industrial substances can we talk about under this? We will discuss about various alcoholic beverages, antibiotics, and some other substances like enzymes, organic acids, alcohols, etc., industrial alcohols, etc. Right? So some terms I am going to introduce. First, let us talk of yeasts that are used to make. See, generally, children, all the various alcoholic preparations that are made in the industry, yeasts have been used since a very historical time, right? And the substances that are made, for example, wine, it is made from fruit juices. Please write down them clearly. Beer is made from barley malt. Whiskey is made from cereals. Brandy is made from fruit juices. Rum from molasses. Sake from rice. Vodka from potato. Fenny, the spelling is either of that, Feni or Fenny, is made from cashew or coconut. Now the yeast that is used, right? Different varieties of yeast they are used to give so many products. Saccharomyces cerevisiae. This is called as the brewer's yeast, and this is also called as the baker's yeast because this is used in baking industries, right? This is the one that is used to make cakes, breads, buns, etc. Another variety, Saccharomyces. See, this S dot means this is the same variety over here. So generic name would be same, species would be different. So Streptomyces ellipsoideus, it gives wine, so it's called the wine yeast. Saccharomyces, I'm sorry, this is not Streptomyces, but Saccharomyces pyriformis, which forms ginger and ale yeast. Saccharomyces sake forms the sake yeast, and Saccharomyces calbergensis, which forms the beer. Now the term that is going to be introduced is a bioreactor. There are 3 names, whether we call it a bioreactor, a fermenter, or fermentation tank means the same. I'll show you how it is shown in the picture. Look at this. This is a bioreactor. Now they are made up of stainless steel. They are large, huge vessels, and microbes are grown in large quantities, right? So by definition, this is a fermentation plant, children, into an industry, and that is what industries run under, huge volumes of the products that are made. So bioreactors, they are places of, or vessels, we can say, stainless steel vessels into which microbes are grown in large quantities, right? Now let us talk about the terms further. I'll be introducing mash, wort, and another word which we are going to call as wash. So see that you understand it clearly. Now what is done over here? Let us see. Into a nutrient medium which has starch, that is cereals or potato, etc., we are talking about introduction of 1% malt, which is rhizopus, right? Now this is the step that is going to take place in a bioreactor. What happens? So step 1 is that the nutrient medium is taken from various starchy substances, it could be cereals or potato, and 1% malt or rhizopus is added. Why it is added? Because yeast produces a little amylase. Now the next step is hydrolysis. Hydrolysis, you understand this? Hydro means in presence of water and lysis means to break. So the substance will break up in presence of water, and this is at a moderate temperature of 55 degrees for around 30 minutes. Now this is done in separate tanks, alright? The Next step is that the food is crushed and mixed with hot water, and the malt that finally is obtained is called mash. Right? Once again, food nutrient medium mixed with the malt or rhizopus 1%, hydrolysis carried out, food is crushed and mixed with hot water, and now this is called as malt, is called as mash. The next term what we are introducing is wort. What is it? The sweetened nutrient medium prior, that means just before alcoholic fermentation, is called wort. So wort is the next stage, right? But mash is the primary stage which has been mashed after hydrolysis and heating of some 30 degrees, from 55 degrees at 30 minutes. But this would be a later stage which is just before the alcohol fermentation. Now, there are 3 ways of fermentation. So fermentation is done by any of these 3 methods, right? First, the fermenter that I've shown you here in the picture, this is sterilized, that means made germ free with the help of steam, and this is done under a great pressure. The nutrient medium, that is wort, is added to the tank and sterilized and now allowed to cool. When it is cooled down, then the yeast would be added, because yeast will not be allowed to be added at a higher temperature because it's an organism and will be disrupted or destroyed. So the first method of fermentation is batch process, second is continuous process, and the third is immobilized fermentation process. Now in this what happens, children? Batch process is special because here the fermentation takes place in large volumes, in large containers called as fermenters of 1,000 to 1 million liters capacity. Yeast along with nutrient medium is added, and they are allowed to remain here till the alcohol percentage reaches 6 to 12%. At this stage, we call it as wash. I hope the terms are clear, children. Once again, mash was when you are preliminary in your step. After hydrolysis, the food is crushed, right? Wort is a sweetened stage just before the alcohol production. But here, when alcohol has formed now, the third later stage is wash. So what comes in serial order would be mash followed by wort and now wash of 6 to 12%. Right? This is now removed. The wash is removed and now the tank is again sterilized. So why do you call it batch process? Because a whole lot is made to react and removed together. Once again, what was the whole lot? The nutrient medium, yeast, was allowed to remain in large quantity, now removed, and tank is again sterilized or ready to be reused. Continuous process is that it doesn't go in one lot or removed, it's not removed in one lot. It's continuously added and continuously removed. How? In this process, half the portion of the medium with fermented product is removed at intervals. You can see this. Fresh medium is being continuously added and half of this is continuously being removed. That is why you call it as continuous process. And the next and the last choice is immobilized fermentation process. This is the most effective of all 3. How much effective? Here it gives 20 times more useful. This is more useful than the previous. And what is done in it? The yeast cells, they are immobilized. Immobilized means it's not made to move further. How it is done? By use of calcium alginate beads, right? And this is kept in 2 columns in the fermentation tank. So here, children, as I told you, yeast is added in all of them. Here also, here and here. But here the yeast is immobilized or not allowed to move by the use of calcium alginate beads. Alright. So this is the complete thing of the terminology that I had to use in the alcoholic beverages. So I hope you are understanding, children. The microbes and alcoholic beverages and production, the terms, etc. is complete. Now coming to the world of antibiotics. Remember, children, I am still on the second point. I am discussing here microbes in industrial production, but because the topic is huge, Just now you have completed alcoholic beverages. Now moving to antibiotics, but under the same heading. Alright. So what are antibiotics? This is made up of two words. The words are Greek terms. Anti means against and bio means in life. By definition, these are the drugs that are produced by microorganisms which in low concentration kill or retard the growth of disease causing microbes. The term was first time used by Waxman. The term was coined by Waxman, and we'll be surprised to know that today we have some 7,000 antibiotics that are known to exist. But how much are being marketed around? Only 150. So you can imagine what huge potential is still unrecognized. Out of 7,000, when only 150 are marketed, then so many are still not being used. Now, antibiotics have been used against many diseases. Most of them are very deadly, like plague, whooping cough, leprosy, pneumonia, etc. Then let us talk of some antibiotics that are used from bacterial source. For example, Bacillus subtilis. Here, Bacillus subtilis, which is known to produce more than 60 antibiotics, one single strain of bacteria. Another one, which we call as Streptomyces griseus, produces more than some 40 antibiotics, right? Then if you talk of fungi, Penicillium cephalosporium and also Aspergillus. These are used in antibiotic production. Sometimes we call a term as broad spectrum antibiotic. What does it mean? We also call it as specific antibiotics. The term means that the antibiotic can kill a large number of pathogen. Pathogen means a disease causing germ, and they might belong to different groups with different structure and cell wall composition. Another new term that we are going to introduce is bactericides and bacteriostatic. Antibiotics, yes, they are powerful drugs, so we must be using them very, very judiciously. Overuse or underuse, both are harmful, right? If the antibiotic course is to be done, it should be completed properly in a 5 day or 7 days time as prescribed by the doctors. So what is the meaning of bactericides? Side means a killing agent. So this antibiotic kills the bacteria. Whereas bacteriostatic means to not to allow movement. So we can say it inhibits the growth of bacteria. Both are different, children. Bacteria is alive but not able to grow. But here the total bacteria is dead. So this might differ. Sometimes the action is bactericide or sometimes it is bacteriostatic. Then characteristics of an ideal antibiotic. Number 1, should not have any side effect, or it should be harmless. It should be harmless to the normal microflora of host alimentary canal. Suppose our pathogenic germ is going to make us sick, but the host bacteria like E. coli, which is a friendly bacteria, should not be harmed. Third, it should be broad spectrum or effective against a large number of pathogens and quick in action. So please learn these characteristics of an ideal antibiotic. Then let us talk about sources of antibiotics. Here, broadly, we have 3 sources. Eubacteria or true bacteria. This include Bacillus species basically. Second, actinomycetes or ramified bacteria. Ramified means branched, right? Further, this includes the Streptomyces species and also fungi. So here I have mentioned refer table at page number 556. I'll just show you the table. Here this is page 556. This table, I don't mean to make you learn it by heart, but yes, you should be aware of some few names. This is the antibiotic name, the source, right, and the action. So at least you can just know one thing is that the possible ways of categories you must learn, that some are true bacteria, some are actinomycetes and fungi. Then another word comes as semi-synthetic antibiotic. Sometimes antibiotics are modified or changed. Why? To enhance their potential or power. For example, ampicillin, oxacillin, and some more terms that learn only 1 or 2. Then, coming to our last topics for today, Some pathogenic bacteria, they develop resistance to antibiotic. Now what happens is, in this case, this bacteria might make the cell wall modified. Pathogenic means disease causing. So what happens is, sometimes disease causing bacteria, they are not affected by antibiotics, right? So why this happens? By possible reasons like modification of their cell wall. Second, development of enzyme capable of modifying antibiotics. So the antibiotic is trying to kill the bacteria, but the bacteria has modified the antibiotic itself, and therefore it will be not affected. Third, mutation in pathogen. Mutation means a sudden change in the genetic structure of the bacterial cell here. And finally, development of copious or abundant mucilage. So any of these reasons, the bacterial cell might develop resistance. Finally, judicious use of antibiotics. As I told you, children, the overusage should be avoided totally because it's harmful. The antibiotics are not effective against viral infections, like for nowadays, like COVID virus. No antibiotics will work, right? Because viral infections, the others also, antibiotics will not work. They're effective only against the bacterial infections or fungal infections. Then second is, use of inappropriate antibiotic can promote spread of antibiotic resistant bacteria. So once these bacteria develop, the doctors will not be able to cure any infection easily. And finally, the antibiotics may wipe out beneficial bacteria that contribute to our healthy digestive system. So when we mean this, means we are hinting at Escherichia coli or E. coli. So here, children, I hope this will be enough for today. 6 pages I told you in the beginning I am completing as per my notes. So this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. As I stop here, children, I'm requesting you, please ensure your regular work. We are not going to pile up our pending works at all, because tomorrow I'll be giving you another work and that will be in the practical. So in the meantime, be ready, children, arrange for your files, and here I'll continue from enzymes. Today we have completed alcoholic beverages and antibiotics. Acids and enzymes we'll do tomorrow and complete the second point. So please be regular to your work, children, and with the same intimation I am going to sign off. Thank you.